I still remember the sound more than the words. The scrape of a chair on tile, a fork clinking against a plate. That half-second pause when a room realizes something just went too far and nobody knows what to do next. He leaned back, smirked, looked straight at me and said, "Relax. This place isn't built for guys like you anyway." Not shouted, not angry, almost casual, like he was doing me a favor by explaining how the world worked. The funny part, 5 minutes earlier, nobody in that room even knew my name. I'd walked in wearing what I always wear when I don't want to be noticed, plain jacket, worn shoes, nothing that signals status. I'd learned a long time ago that when people think you're small, they show you who they really are. And that night, I wanted to see exactly who they were. I'd been invited as a +1. That's how they phrased it. A friend of a friend needed an extra seat filled at a private tasting new concept restaurant. Lots of ego, lots of money, lots of people who liked hearing themselves talk. The head chef, let's call him Marcus, ran the room like a dictator with a wine list. Loud laugh, sharp tongue, the kind of guy who mistook cruelty for confidence. Everyone else orbited him carefully, laughing a beat too late, nodding a little too hard. I stayed quiet, asked questions, watched. At some point, Marcus decided I was entertainment. "So what do you do?" he asked, eyes already drifting past me. "I work in operations," I said. He chuckled. "Operations? That's cute. Like logistics." "Sometimes," I said. That should have been the end of it. But bullies don't stop when they smell silence. They push. By the third comment about my clothes, about how I didn't look like the usual crowd, the table had gone uncomfortable. You could feel people wishing the floor would open up and swallow the moment. And then came the line. "This place isn't built for guys like you anyway." I felt it land, right in the chest, not because it hurt, but because it was familiar. See, I've been underestimated my whole life. Too quiet, too calm, too normal-looking. People assume competence has a uniform success, has a sound. If you don't match the picture in their head, they fill in the blanks themselves. So I did what I always do in those moments. Nothing. I smiled, took a sip of water, let the silence stretch just long enough to make him uncomfortable. That bothered him more than any comeback could have. He leaned forward. "I'm just saying this industry is brutal. You need a certain edge. You don't strike me as someone who could keep up." A few people laughed, not because it was funny, because they were relieved he wasn't aiming at them. I nodded slowly. "You might be right." That's when he lost interest. Bullies hate agreement. Without resistance, there's no thrill. Dinner wrapped up. Cards were exchanged. Mine stayed in my pocket. Marcus clapped someone on the shoulder and said loud enough for me to hear, "Some people are meant to watch. Others are meant to run the show." I thanked my host, stepped outside, and let the cool night air hit my face. Here's the part most people don't understand. That moment wasn't my breaking point. It was my confirmation. Because I wasn't there by accident. 2 months earlier, I'd been asked to quietly evaluate several new hospitality ventures for a firm that specialized in acquisitions and turnarounds. No titles, no announcements, just eyes and ears. See how the culture really operated when the spotlight was off. Marcus's restaurant was high on the list, and what I saw that night told me everything I needed to know. The next morning I didn't storm in. I didn't send emails. I didn't demand apologies. I showed up like nothing had happened. Same jacket, same calm. This time, Marcus barely acknowledged me. He was too busy holding court, bragging about expansion plans, dropping names, talking about his vision. At one point he said, "Some people don't belong at the table, and that's okay." He looked straight at me when he said it. I met his eyes and smiled. Internally, though, something had shifted, not anger focus. Over the next week, I watched patterns emerge. Who got credit? Who got blamed? Who got talked over? Who got humiliated when something went wrong? It wasn't just me, and that's when I made the call. Not a dramatic one, no threats, just a quiet professional conversation that started with, "I think you should see this." When the meeting finally happened, Marcus walked in confident as ever. Same swagger, same grin. Until he saw me sitting at the table, not in a side chair, at the head. He stopped mid-step, actually blinked, like his brain needed a second to catch up. "You?" he said. "What's this?" I stood, extended my hand, the same hand he'd ignored before. "Good to see you again," I said. "I'm Alex, senior partner." The room went very still. He laughed nervously. "Is this a joke?" I didn't sit down yet. I wanted him standing. "No," I said. "This is a review." He started talking fast then, explaining, reframing, calling it banter, saying people were too sensitive these days. I let him finish. Then I slid a folder across the table. Complaints, turnover numbers, witness statements, dates, patterns. He opened it. Color drained from his face page by page. This isn't fair, he said quietly. I tilted my head. That's interesting. You seemed very comfortable deciding who belonged and who didn't. This is just the data doing the same. He looked up at me, eyes searching for mercy, for ego, for something to fight. But there was nothing to fight. I'm not here to humiliate you, I said. You did that to yourself. I'm here to make a decision. His voice cracked. After everything I built, I paused, not for drama, for truth. You didn't build this alone, I said. You just made sure everyone knew you were loudest. The decision was already made. He knew it. I knew it. Everyone in the room knew it. When he left, shoulders slumped, nobody clapped. Nobody spoke. I sat back down, finally exhaled. Here's the thing, it didn't feel like victory. Not the movie kind. It felt quiet, clean, like setting down a weight you didn't realize you'd been carrying. Later that night, as I walked out of the building, I caught my reflection in the glass. Same jacket, same shoes, same face Marcus thought didn't belong. And I smiled not because I'd won, but because I'd never needed to prove anything in the first place. Some people mistake kindness for weakness, silence for insignificance, humility for lack of power. They only learn the difference when it's too late. So I'll ask you this. Have you ever watched someone reveal exactly who they are the moment they thought you didn't matter? And if you had the chance, would you respond with anger or with quiet justice? Let me know what you think.